In this video, we are going to talk about x-intercept and y-intercept of a graph y equal to f of x. For this, we will consider one graph y equal to x plus 2. It's a graph of a function. So let's have a look at the sketch. We have x-axis and we have y-axis. And the sketch of this function y equal to x plus 2 is this. Now this straight line cuts y-axis at this point, which has two coordinates. Now since on y-axis all x values are 0, so x coordinate of this point will be 0 and we have to put the y coordinate, which we will put later. Now look at this point. The straight line cuts x-axis at this point, and on x-axis all y values are 0, so we put the y coordinate here as 0, and x coordinate is something that we have to yet put. Now please see this, wherever the straight line cuts y-axis, that point is called y-intercept. For example, here the straight line y equal to x plus 2 is cutting y-axis at this point. So this point is going to be called y-intercept, and the straight line y equal to x plus 2 cuts x-axis at this point. So this point is called x-intercept. So let's mark this point is called y-intercept, because at this point the line y equal to x plus 2 is cutting y-axis, and this point is called x-intercept because at this point the line y equal to x plus 2 is cutting x-axis. Now please see this. Mathematically, if we have to find y-intercept, so this is the point the straight line will cut y-axis. So at this point x will always be 0, because on y-axis all x coordinates are 0. So we will put x equal to 0. So we have the graph y equal to x plus 2, and we want to find the y-intercept for this graph. So when we put x equal to 0, this gives us y equal to 2. So when we put x equal to 0, we got y as 2. So 0, 2 is called y-intercept. We will go back to our graph, and here we will put the y coordinate as 2. So this is how we find the y-intercept. Let's find the x-intercept. So x-intercept is the point where the straight line y equal to x plus 2 has cut the x-axis. Since on x-axis all y's are 0, so to be able to find the x-intercept, put y equal to 0 in the curve y equal to x plus 2. When you put y equal to 0, you get 0 is equal to x plus 2, which gives you x equal to minus 2. So the point here is minus 2, 0, which is x-intercept. And going back to our curve, the x-intercept will be here. So it is minus 2. So for the curve y equal to x plus 2, the x-intercept is minus 2, 0. This is the point where the line y equal to x plus 2 has cut x-axis, and the y-intercept is 0, 2. This is the point where the line y equal to x plus 2 has cut y-axis. Let's look at another example. Let's say we have a curve y equal to x square, and we know the shape of this curve y equal to x square. Which is this. Now we want to see that this curve y equal to x square has cut x-axis and y-axis at what point? So x-intercept is the point where the curve has cut x-axis. So since on x-axis all y coordinates are 0, so we will put y equal to 0 in the curve y equal to x square. So when you put y equal to 0, you get x square, which gives you x is equal to 0. So the coordinates x, y are x is 0 and y is 0. X is 0 and y 0. So 0, 0 is the x-intercept, and we can see it through the curve as well, because 0, 0 is the point where the graph y equal to x square is cutting x-axis. It is here. Now let's find the y-intercept. So y-intercept is the point where the curve y equal to x square should cut y-axis. Since on y-axis all x coordinates are 0, so to be able to find y-intercept, we will put x equal to 0. In the curve y equal to x square, when we put x as 0, 0 square is 0, so we got the coordinates x, y, 0, 0. So 0, 0 is also the y-intercept, and when we look at the curve, this curve, we will see that 0, 0 is the point where y equal to x square is cutting the y-axis. So 0, 0 is x-intercept as well as the y-intercept. We can also try one more example. Let's say we have a graph y equal to x square plus 2. Let's first have a look at the shape of the graph y equal to x square plus 2. Now we want to see what are the x-intercept and y-intercept for this curve y equal to x square plus 2. X-intercept is the point where the graph is cutting x-axis. So for finding x-intercept, we will put y equal to 0 in the curve y equal to x square plus 2. When we put y equal to 0, here we get 0 equal to x square plus 2, which gives us x square equal to minus 2. This equation is not possible. Why? Because it is saying take some x, square it, and it should give you a negative answer, which is not possible because squaring any number will always give you a positive number. We'll conclude here. There is no x-intercept, and this is actually true because when you look at this shape y equal to x square plus 2, you can see that this curve is cutting through the y-axis, but it is not touching or cutting through the x-axis. So there is no x-intercept. Let's find the y-intercept. Since y-intercept is the point where the graph cuts through the y-axis, and on y-axis all x's are 0, so to be able to find y-intercept, we will put x equal to 0 in the graph y equal to x square plus 2. When we do that, we get y equal to 0 square plus 2, gives us 2. So we got for x equal to 0, we got the y coordinate as 2, which is the y-intercept. And when we go back to our graph, we will see this is the point where the graph y equal to x squared plus 2 is cutting through the y-axis. So this point is the y-intercept, and mathematically we have found the coordinates of this y-intercept as 0, 2. So this point is y-intercept. So this is the example where there is no x-intercept but there is a y-intercept. For practice, you can try to find the x-intercept and y-intercept for this graph.